Hi, this is Di. I am a vlogger who went to Vidcon this year. It was my first time at Vidcon. And the first day, some really crummy things happened. One of the crummy things that happened was I went to a panel that was supposed to be about women in online video. I was pretty excited about it. I had never met Alli Speed in person, so I was excited to see her. But then everything went belly up in the middle of it, and it was very disturbing. And I was in the front row with the camera, very excited. I was going to see Alli Speed, and I had my camera, and I was out there, and Anita Sarkeesian was on the panel, and at one point she said, yeah, I'm being harassed by somebody in the front row who's got a camera. And so that was like, and then I noticed that there were 3 rows, approximately 15 to 20 people who were there just to heckle the panel. They were just there to be bullies. And the whole panel took a turn, and I'm home now. I went through my footage. I have 25 minutes of that panel, and so I want to make a separate video here so that you can see that panel and what happened. It was bad. I don't know any of the other panelists. I didn't know Anita, but it was very plainly horrible. So please watch this video. It's not edited, so there's language in it, and it was a situation that deserves some language. I left some footage on the end where I talk about how I felt attending the panel. I'm glad I could hold it together. I had my grown adult son with me, and I didn't want to be like this, but this is what you're gonna see because this is real. It was bad. Please check out my channel. I have a family-friendly channel. We do lots of fun activities. I travel, I play electric bass, I deal with health problems, and yet this was bad in my perspective. I love you. Stay strong. Don't let the bullies win. Bullying is not okay for kids or adults. Let me know in the comments, please, how things like this impact you. Have you been affected by bullying? I was when I was a kid. I've been really fortunate not to experience online bullying, but I would love to talk to you. I'd like to get to know you. This is a great little world we have here and a great community, and things like this ruin it, and let's stand together that it's not going to be okay. This is not okay.
Thanks so much for coming to the Women Online discussion. It is so lovely to see your faces. We have a panel of 4 A names, the A team, one might even say, with us today. And just to note that at one point we're going to be opening up the questions, so just start thinking about if there's anything that you maybe haven't heard addressed in Women Online discussions overall, and that you'd like us to talk about. But yeah, really excited to be here. I'm going to ask my panelists to give a quick introduction to themselves and their channel, in case you don't know them, and also tell me what the first video you ever uploaded to YouTube was. I'm going to start right down at the end with Amy.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Hi, my name is Amy Ordman. My channel is Amy Ordman. I do like comedy, LGBT stuff, and the first video I ever made, I'm sure it's gone. I mean, I used to upload like my university assignments, but like the first video I made was like my favorite YouTubers, and I just like spoke about my favorite YouTubers. So pretty tragic.
It's so hard to hear everybody out here, right? I'm like straining in here.
You can hear us though, right?
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we're just not going to talk to each other.
Okay.
We're gonna have it up here. This is going to go really sweet. I'm Anita Sarkeesian. I run a educational nonprofit called Feminist Frequency, which is also our YouTube channel. We make videos that look at the way women are represented in popular culture. We've just launched a new show called The Freak Show that answers the question, what do media representations have to do with the current political climate? Wow, they're so excited over there. Sorry. Yeah, so easy, lighthearted. The first video, I made a lot of videos before I ever put one online. Like the first one I made and didn't release was about Twilight, where I was like lecturing Bella about how to be less shitty.
Amazing.
Which is not available for viewing. The first video I actually put up though, I was so mad, this is gonna date me a lot. I was so mad that Terminator, the Sarah Connor Chronicles got canceled, but yet they gave another season to Dollhouse, and you probably have no idea what I'm talking about, and I was so mad, so I made a video. Don't watch it, it's really embarrassing.
I'm definitely gonna watch it now. What's up, guys? My name is Alli Speed. I started out daily vlogging, did that for a really long time, and I also do a lot of like gaming and travel content. I did some lifestyle stuff, not so much anymore. Had a series with my brother called Drunk Gaming on my channel, a lot of fun. And I honestly can't remember what the first video was that I uploaded because I had another account before I got this one. But the first like real one that I ever did was a horrible parody of 303. So there's that. That's forever. So.
Hey guys, I'm Ahsante, my channel's Ahsante the Artist, and I talk about social issues and young adulting through a creative lens. I started vlogging in college, and so my first vlogs were all about like college life and campus and tours. So my first video was like my freshman year of college, like touring around the campus and like using all the cheesy iMovie effects that I had like just gotten. The Ken Burns effects, the Ken Burns, all so that's me. Great, and my name is Rosanna Hosrohas. I've been making videos on YouTube for like 11 years now, so my very first one was talking about the title of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. Yes. It was recorded direct upload to YouTube on a very fuzzy webcam, and I don't think the sound works in it anymore, so it's a loss to the world, I assure you. But I mean, something I kind of keep hearing in any time there's a women discussion, but also, to be frank, by people who are participating in it, is why do we still need to have these discussions? Like, haven't we talked it all to death? Like, haven't we talked about harassment enough? Why do these panels still need to happen? And I was kind of wondering whether anyone had any input on why we should still be having a women online panel, and whether there's a sense of things changing or improving, just kind of broadly, thinking more broadly.
Well, I could be wrong, but I think there's someone in the front row that is a notorious harasser of mine that's filming this panel, so I think it's important to keep having these conversations.
I love her. Yeah, I agree with that. And I think also, I think it's definitely, I think these types of conversations about like harassment, not just harassment, but just like representation in general of like minority groups is because it's drummed up so much now, and because people talk about it so often, you get like also a massive uprising of people trying to shut it down and people trying to be shitty about it. So like I think it's really important to keep talking about it. And I know we were also discussing that sometimes people feel like they either can't talk about it or they don't want to because they don't want to deal with shit like she has to deal with, or let anyone, like that any woman who's ever posted anything online has to deal with, which people don't know about. And that's why it's important to keep talking about it, because there are people that feel like they can't stand up for themselves. I mean, even for me, like I know personally, I didn't talk about feminism or women's issues or like LGBT anything like for a really long time because I was a little bit nervous. But it's gotten to a point now where, sorry, I'm so loud. It's gotten to a point now where I realize that like that stuff, that conversation and like starting those types of dialogues is so much bigger than who I am as a person. Like talking about this stuff is so much more important than like whether or not people give a shit about who I am or what I'm doing. Like if the conversation can be started and like people can be educated about these things, it's so, that's why I do it. That's why a lot of people that I don't do it, is because it's so important.
Even like a year or two in,
okay.
Were there any obstacles that you came across that you also thought were particular to maybe gender or other parts of your identity?
Oh my god, there are just so many things though. Yeah, that's a really huge one. I mean, people talking about, or people being concerned with appearance, like more than anything else. Like, it doesn't matter what I had to say or what the video was about. Like, I mean, also it's kind of funny though, because I feel like when I get those types of comments, like when people attack me for my appearance, I'm like, that's fine with me honestly, because it means you can't refute what I'm saying in the video. So like, it's good. I guess it's fine because you can't like say anything about the argument or whatever thing I'm putting forth. Like, you're not directly going against what I'm positing, so that's fine. So yeah, the appearance thing is definitely a huge one. Just the fact that people feel like they, because they're anonymous or whatever, they have the right to or can and should just be shitty to other people. I'm trying to think, like another really big one too is kind of women being pigeonholed into doing certain types of content. crappy. I love beauty content. Like I love it. I watch it all the time. It's great. I've learned a ton of stuff from those women. But I can't tell you how many times I've gotten a fucking, sorry, I'm swearing so much. I've gotten an email from someone being like, hi sweetie, like we want you to review this beauty product. Like we saw like one video that, like they clearly only saw like one thing on my channel. Like cause I did a favorites video or something, or I did a makeup tutorial once. And it's just annoying that people assume that like that's the only thing that you're good for. And I've had networks reach out to me saying like, we want you to specifically create like beauty content. I'm like, have you looked at my channel in the last 5 months? I haven't done anything like that. And I think people just expect you to do certain things. And if you want to branch out into tech or gaming or anything else that is like traditionally like more centered around men, it's like absurd and people don't take you seriously, and that sucks.
When I started out, it was a lot of kitchen and sandwich jokes, which was just like,
fun.
you know,
Words feature is amazing. Like if you go into your community, you can just go into that. I don't even remember what section it's under. I don't know if it's under comments or like what's even under. I can't like picture the drop down in my head. But you can go into community settings on your YouTube channel and you can have a list of blocked words, and it's amazing because you can have them all, and all of those comments will be held for. They'll be like put into a separate. God, that pop is so bad. Put into a separate like tab that's held for review, and the person, like the author, thinks it posts. So it's not like a person's going to make a billion accounts, even though they do often, to try to keep bothering you or getting attention from you in your comments, but it makes them think it goes through, but it doesn't, and it gets held.
I didn't know that they thought it went through.
What's that?
I thought that it was just like blocked and then they see that it went through.
No, I think it does appear as
Facebook hide is the same thing. They think that the message went through, but it's now hidden.
Oh, okay. Planning.
So that's one big thing that's helped me, and like honestly for me it's like these, and I'm not talking about, again, I think one big thing people say, a lot of things that harassers and people that like don't think this shit through like to say is like, you're censoring me or like you're blocking me from saying something. It's like, no, this isn't a conversation. You're not starting a dialogue. You're just like actually coming to try to disrupt and be bothersome and inflame and like be awful and inflammatory. And it also totally throws like the entire vibe of like the channel or the chat or whatever you're posting on it. It throws off the whole vibe of it, and it like screws everything up. So doing that has made, like, it has helped so much with my comment section, because now for me it's like I've had so much shit thrown at me over the years online that it like doesn't even bother me really to read hateful stuff anymore, which is like one thing we were talking about, being desensitized to it is like sad. But the truth is that I'm so happy now that I can have a place where other people who are in my community can talk to each other and not be worried that they're going to be bothered by someone as well. Because I had people in the past who, you know, if there was some situation and I was talking about something and they were supporting me, they would get harassed by someone. So it's majorly helped also to keep my community feeling like comfortable and like they can talk to each other about stuff. And that's a big thing for me, because I don't want people who are, you know, going through something really difficult to not be able to share it because they're afraid to be like mocked or judged. So I think that's a really important thing, to keep the community feeling strong and safe.
I would wholeheartedly agree, and I think that you shouldn't feel guilty about blocking or banning people. Your channel is your space.
Yeah.
So you just like you have the right to curate, you know, what videos you do and don't put up. You have the right to curate your comments. You have the right to curate your channel art. Like, this is your space. So I wouldn't feel guilty about doing that at home, or like anyone else has the right or entitlement to use your space for their, you know, emotional expression or personal gain or whatever it is. One thing, another feature I just quickly mention.
Events is always risky, and if you do that, we can't do open calls because you don't know who's going to show up, and so it's something we're trying to navigate. But I'm not sure how we do that yet.
So moving kind of over to you guys as YouTube viewers, I was wondering how and whether you, Lindsay Ellis,
Yeah.
but she still uses
still
her
on camera, yeah.
FaceNet, and so yeah, it's been interesting to me to not. Even in overdub videos, like it's always, even when it's not like when it's like an animation studio that has clearly hired someone separately, it's male voices.
Yeah, definitely. I just thought of, when you said Hank, I thought you were going to say the girl that I looked up through him. I actually found it through an ICG email. I think he's doing something with her on a podcast. I don't remember her name, but she's a really talented animator, and she actually made a video about why she never shows her face. I thought it was so fascinating. So I'm actually I want to find it. And,
Is it
Jaden?
Yes. Thank you. I am the worst. Is it Jaden? Jaden? Yeah, Jaden Animation. There you go. That's the one. J-A-I. Is that right?
Yeah.
I'm like grilling you. I'm so about it, but yeah, she made a video about why she doesn't show her face, and I found it both like sad that she had to do sad that not that she had to do it, but sad that the idea of being judged, like your content and what you make being judged because of the way that you look, that's shitty, that sucks. But I also thought it was such an interesting perspective, so I'll find that video and tweet it out because it's great.
So I'm going to open up the questions soon. So just really, hone in on those questions. But when we do these panels, a lot of the time, the advice that's given at the end, like if you have a piece of advice for women creators, it's just be yourself. And obviously, that is an intensely complex situation to be in.
Who am I?
And I wonder if you have any advice that's particular to women creators, other than all the wonderful things that you've said today, that you wish were shared more. And if there's anything that you feel like can, help encourage people, but then also like particularly women.
This is weird because my whole message is just be yourself, but apparently like it's not safe for everyone to do that all the time. So I think probably my advice would be like stay safe first and then be yourself. Right? I don't know.
You're fine.
I would say find other networks of supportive women. Like find lady friends who are going through the same sorts of things you're going through, so you can kind of share in that experience, share tips, share wisdom, and just having somebody else to lean on and empathize with has been really helpful for me.
I think that's one, definitely. I got so behind in it this year, but a big thing that I was trying to do is to shout out other creators that I've really been loving, and I think that's a big one. I would just say try to show support, because if you sit and you expect support, you expect people to show you respect, listen to your voice, give you views, etc. You should do the same for other people that are creating content, and I think it's really important to, if you find something that you really enjoy, to share that, because that's one thing I feel like a big thing that kind of it's not gone entirely, but I think like YouTube, it's such a self-serving thing, and people get so used to just doing everything on their own and promoting themselves for so many hours, for so many years, that they get lost in that. I got lost in that, and I think it's really important to show support and to highlight other people who, especially people whose like we were talking about, whose voices and stories maybe either aren't highlighted, or if you learn something from it, share it.
I'd say be gentle with yourself, right? Like in all regards of making.
See, you're just mocking me.
If you
You're
talk
just mocking
about one
me. I'm
community
actually
facing
serious
harassment,
question.
that's not to say that no other communities face
All
any
you
harassment.
see, you're harassing me right now when I'm.
Can we please remove this question of
Those gold lions. Now look.
Next
you're doing-
question,
of answering.
Next question, please. Hi.
That's fine, and you know what, dude? When there's a panel talking about that, we'll talk about that, but that's not what we're talking about here today. So, it's not like no one can ever talk about anything other than this. No one on this panel said that.
What's your question, please?
I was wondering how you deal with harassment in online gaming.
Sorry, I didn't hear that. How do you deal with harassment where?
Harassment in online gaming.
A big thing for me on Twitch, unfortunately, is just having people removed from my chat. Like, if people continue to say hurtful things to me or to other people that are in my community, then they don't get to be there. It's like what we were talking about before, where this is a space that I've curated. This is my house. If someone's being rude and breaking shit in my house, then they leave and they're not allowed back in my house. So that's sort of how I deal with it. I just have people who moderate my stuff for me. And if someone comes into my chat and brings up a point, and I can tell that the person is actually trying to have a conversation, and I will have a conversation about it. But if it's just outright rudeness or someone just being crappy to me, then I don't let it exist there. And that pretty quickly sends a message to people that that stuff won't stand, and so they don't even try.
Thank you.
Hi, I have two questions. Is that okay?
Different.
I have a question for Alli. You mentioned in one of your videos that
you kind of moved over to the Twitch platform, and that's been really good. But how do you deal with sexist men, Joey? And how do you pick your battles, kind of? Because you said that you wanted to have like a dialogue with someone and have it go somewhere.
Right.
But how do you kind of pick those battles?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Sometimes if I honestly, like, it gets exhausting sometimes to talk about, so I'm just like, all right, I don't feel like talking about this today, or I know I can't handle it in a way that's not gonna kind of derail the entire, like, stream, so I don't. But if there's someone talking about something and I realize that it's going to be helpful for me to, and cathartic for me to sort of like talk about it and go through in my head the way I feel about an issue and then present it. And also if I feel like it's going to be helpful to the people in the chat to hear what I have to say or to have a conversation about it, then I will say something. So that's sort of how I deal with it. Is like if there's a question that's asked and I'm like, oh, this is a great freaking question, or this is a really important issue, or someone brought up something that I really feel like people could use a reminder for, then I usually address it. But again, if it's just like, you're ugly or whatever, it's like, okay, cool. Like, I know what I look like. I'm 27. I own mirrors. Like, it's fine. I don't need anyone to be like commenting on my appearance. That stuff doesn't really matter. But yeah.
My second question was just to kind of like,
We could talk about that.
No, I mean,
Can we move on to the next
All right,
question,
y'all.
please?
I think that it's important to have these conversations about online harassment because it continues, and I don't want to be identified as a victim, and I don't think anyone else on this panel wants to be such, and this is why we're here talking about it.
Yeah.
That we don't want anyone else to be victimized or targeted, and until that stops, we're going to keep talking about it. And I'm sure as hell tired of doing it, but I'm gonna keep going because it keeps happening. So it's not happening because we're talking about it, it's happening whether we talk about it or not.
Yeah, and I just have to say that a man screaming women are powerful over a woman answering a question on a panel about women is a pretty good example of like the problem. So
I think women are stronger than I think they can handle being called a bitch online and not have to.
Can we have the next question then, please?
Hello. I wrote this down just to be sure. How important do you think it is to engage with people that genuinely disagree with you? And how would you define this disagreement or criticism? Or how would you define genuine criticism?
Well, when someone is criticizing me for something and it's something that's valid and not someone directly targeting me because of my gender, then obviously like a conversation can be had. That's like fine. I don't have a problem with that at all. And having a conversation with, like for me, I think the issue is not having the conversation with someone who you disagree with, it's the platform on which you have the conversation with someone you disagree with, because Twitter is 140 characters per message, that's like impossible. If I'm just making a YouTube video and you're writing something in a comment, it's like there's no interaction there, which is why I a lot of times will talk about this sort of stuff on my live streams because it's easier for me to be able to immediately interact with someone. But one big thing that I feel like I've had to do, because it just turns into ad hominem attacks like 2 to 3 like sentences in, is I just try to educate myself by like reading publications or reading articles or like listening to other people's stories that I know are like in direct opposition to the things that I believe, and that's how I try to like just at least stay aware of the way people feel that are not on the same side of issues that I am. But it's incredibly difficult to have those types of conversations online, which I think is why a lot of people don't do it, because it's tough.
Next question?
Susanna, you asked a question earlier about who had a YouTube channel and who hadn't started a YouTube channel or abandoned it to.
Sorry. Do you want to start again? Sorry about that.
Yeah. You asked a question earlier about who had a YouTube channel or who hadn't started a YouTube channel yet and had abandoned it because they had fear of talking about hard questions or being harassed. And so I wanted to ask what advice you would have for someone who was just starting out on YouTube about creating a brand and how that brand intersects with their feminism and how their femininity, specifically on the topic of like making mistakes and saying something that maybe you realize later was an issue or something that you shouldn't have said, just controversial things in general.
Yeah, I think it's hard when, I mean, there are certain topics that unfortunately I feel like we have a whole range of genres of YouTube videos, and none of them really even fit into any tight, neat genre. But there are certain topics that you know when you talk about them or when you mention a particular word, it's going to get a kind of attention. And I mean, it kind of goes back in some ways to Anita's advice about being gentle to yourself, because I think that when I was starting out, I felt really frustrated with myself if I spoke about politics and then there was a big backlash to it. Not even because of what I was talking about, but because I was a woman who had an opinion on politics. Like, I would get frustrated with myself for not articulating it in a way that didn't attract all of this kind of hullabaloo, to put it the nicest way possible. These guys to check out.
Dude, I love Francesca Ramsey's Decoded. Amazing. Not that she needs a shout out, I'm just saying. I really love Evelyn from the internet. She is hilarious every single time. She talks about a range of different topics, from like identity to personal stories that are hilarious to Beyonce. Like, she's just fabulous. Evelyn from the internet.
I'm gonna shout out a Twitch streamer, Ammunition. She's awesome. I love her stuff.
I watch a lot of Rose and Rosie, they're like British. They
Oh,
also
yeah,
do
they're
gaming as well. They're hilarious. Oh, and then LGBT as well.
They're so funny.
Well, thank you so much to my panelists. Thanks for coming along. Let's keep the discussion going. Thank you.
So that got really weird, and I'm still kind of in shock and almost kind of shaky. It was some kind of feminism panel, which I just wanted to see Alli Speed, and there were 3 rows of mainly men there to harass the women on the panel. So then the panel ended up being about harassment because there were people there just to harass them. And I had questions to ask Alli, but the whole line was a bunch of guys asking more harassing questions. I don't think I was able to capture in the video, but it went south bad. Lots of security, lots of issues. And she was poised and eloquent and wonderful in a situation that was not any of those things. So I think I'm gonna cry now. It's just so bad. This was supposed to be fun.